Baby boomers continue to get older and they own about 40% of the housing stock here in the United States. So, as they continue to age, as some of them start to die off, as others start to move into senior care facilities, some of those homes that they own, some of that 40% of the US housing stock out there will come to the market, will be available for sale. Now, will this even out the inventory? Will this potentially even shift the inventory into more of a buyer's market? I think it could, and I think it maybe even likely will at some point in the future. Now, people talk about a silver tsunami where a ton of baby boomers are going to be selling their homes all at once, bringing a ton of inventory to the market. We're going to talk about when that will happen. And we're going to take a look at a new study out of Freddie Mac that shows 9.2 million homes from baby boomers will be coming to the market if the baby boomer population follows historical trends over the next 10 years. And we're going to talk about what this is going to do to the housing market and when the supply will likely start to ramp up. Before we get into it, my name is Liam O'Reilly. I'm a realtor in Vermont with Jerry Riley Real Estate. If you have any real estate needs, all of my contact information is in the description. And let's get into this video. So, coming out of Freddie Mac here, this is their February 2024 spotlight. Aging boomers and the impact on the housing market over the next decade. So I mentioned this in the beginning, the silver tsunami, but I'm just going to read this red highlighted section here. Some warned of a silver tsunami as aging boomers look to sell their homes, flooding the market with inventory. But as this analysis demonstrates, the tsunami is more like a tide, bringing a gradual exit that will mostly be offset by new entrants. So I think especially in the near term, as we look at some of these charts, the boomer population, this influx of new listings from the older demographic, from the larger demographic of homeowners, right here it says that boomers account for 21% of the US population and 38% of total homeowner households. So they own about 38% of all homes available to be owned in the United States. And let's take a look at when they'll be selling. So this graph right here is a year by year graph starting in 2023 of how many boomers are going to essentially be selling their homes for either because they're dying or they're moving into senior care facilities, things along those lines. And you can see that over the next 5 years, it's relatively slow, but things really start to ramp up once we hit 2028, 2029, 2030. And then on the back half, towards the mid 2030s here, we have they estimate about 1 million homes coming to the market each year from this baby boomer population. And if we take a look at overall housing inventory, according to the Fed data, the St. Louis Fed's data, we'll see that that's more inventory than is on the market right now. Now, this is just active inventory, and of course, there's many markets, including here in Vermont, where homes only sit on the market for a few days and don't have much time on the market to build this active inventory. Right? It's still very competitive in a lot of housing markets out there, but still, 1 million housing units per year coming from these baby boomers would drastically increase the overall U.S. housing stock and the homes for sale, and really shift that supply demand imbalance from a seller's market to a buyer's market where there's a lot more inventory on the market. So something that they note here is that these estimates that they're looking at, they took a look at previous generations to see how the homeowner retention rate affected those generations as they started to age, and they based this model off of historical norms. Now, this might not be entirely accurate for the boomer population if they start to live longer, right? If medical advances continue to keep people alive longer, keep people healthier, if they start eating healthier and are in better shape than previous demographics than previous generations, then we could see less listings come to the market over this next decade compared to the 9.2 million, which is what they're estimating here in this Freddie Mac report. So let's just read a couple more of these highlighted sections here and then talk about what to expect over the next few years. So in our October 2023 outlook, we presented estimates showing there were as many as 2 million potential additional households in the millennial generation. So essentially what they're saying is that their theory is that there's 2 million millennial households that are in need of housing right now, that want to purchase housing but can't afford to buy housing. And so the majority of this beginning section here is going to be offset just by the millennial demographic alone. But then we have the Gen Zers as well that will be forming, are beginning to enter their household forming ages where they'll want to jump into the housing market as well, start forming families, start buying homes or condos or multifamily real estate. And so even though we're seeing about 2.7 million homes come to the market by 2028, a lot of that additional inventory is going to be, they're predicting here with Freddie Mac that it's going to be, you know, swallowed up by the market, swallowed up by the demand that's out there, by the millennials, by the Gen Zers who are out there looking for homes. And then they say here, and this is what I agree with their report. At least over the next 5 years, we expect the increase in young adult homeowner households to more than offset the decline in boomer homeowner households. So basically what we just talked about, that there's enough millennials out there who want to buy homes, there's enough Gen Zers out there who want to buy homes, that over the next 5 years up until 2028, 2029, they expect this decrease in boomer home ownership to be offset by the millennials and by the Gen Zers who are buying homes. Now, how does this affect the housing market in the short term and looking forward to 2035. Now, somebody in my comment section a little while ago mentioned that a lot of boomers are going to be moving out of their home ownership years, and we will have more inventory come to the market. And now 9.2 million homes, that's a lot of homes that we're expecting to see over the next 10 years or so here. And that will bring a drastic increase to inventory. I think, you know, at first, as the boomer population slowly starts relieving themselves of the home ownership, then you know that demand is going to be gobbled up, just like Freddie Mac is saying, that there's enough buyers out there who are waiting on the sidelines. And we talk about this on this channel a lot, where there's a lot of pent up demand. There's a lot of potential demand out there that even if a home buyer or a potential home buyer isn't looking in the market right now, if interest rates were to drop or if inventory were to increase and prices were to come down, there are buyers out there who want to purchase a home, but right now is just not the right time for them, or they can't afford to. So there's a lot of potential buyers out there waiting to jump into the housing market. Now, as we get into 2030 and beyond, I think that's really where we're going to see a drastic change in supply across the market if the models that Freddie Mac is working with hold true for baby boomers. So if that happens, on top of lower household formation, we could have a pretty drastic oversupply of housing here in the United States within the next 6 years or so, right? We're in 2024. So by 2030, we could start to see an oversupply of housing, which I know is crazy to think about right now. If you're shopping for a home in virtually every market across the country, there's almost nothing for sale. But over the next 6 to 10 years, we could have an oversupply of housing. Now, it's going to be 6 years from now and 10 years from now is really hard to predict. It's hard to predict exactly what the demand for housing will be at that time, and it's tough to predict, where inventory will be. But I think based on this demographic data and the models that we have, it does seem like we will have a lot more inventory. So, what does this mean for you as a home buyer or a home seller here in 2024 or even 2025 and 2026? I don't think it's going to affect you much. Unless your plan is to hold off about 6 years or so to really see how this all plays out. If you really believe that more inventory will be beneficial for you as a home buyer, and your plan is to wait the 6 years until inventory builds up, of course you have the monetary considerations to take into account as well, right? How will U.S. government debt impact home prices? How will inflation impact home prices? Will home prices increase drastically over these next 6 years, where this increase in inventory won't really matter, where it will still be cheaper to buy a home today than it will be 6 years from now? Nobody really knows the answers to those questions, but unless you're going to wait 6 years and make the bet that you'll be able to get a home that's more affordable 6, 7, 8 years down the road, then this really doesn't change anything for you as a home buyer or a home seller in this market. I still think it's a good time to sell. This flood of inventory is not coming anytime soon. And so if you have the luxury of waiting, almost a decade, then it might be a good idea to wait that long, almost 10 years, but nothing's guaranteed, and this increase in inventory isn't guaranteed to bring cheaper prices to the market relative to where they are today. Anyway, thank you guys for watching the video. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next one.